Today I'm going to be walking you guys through my full body static stretching cool down that I do after every single training session. The first thing you're going to want to do is roll out the bottoms of your feet if you have a lacrosse ball available. Next, we're going to dorsiflex our feet so our toes are on the mat and sit back on our heels to stretch out the soles of our feet. You can move side to side here to get a deeper stretch as well in your big toes. Next, we're going to stretch the backs of our ankles, and this is super important for jiu-jitsu. So you're going to come up into a combat crouch position and just think about driving your knee over your toes without letting your heel come up off the mat. You can move side to side here as well for a deeper stretch in your ankle. Next, we're going to sit on our shoelaces and lean back into our hands to feel a stretch in the fronts of our ankles. I am very flexible in this position, so don't feel bad if your stretch doesn't look like mine. With time and consistency, it will get there. Now we're going to stretch our calves, so you can get up into this pike position and then cross one foot over the other and think about stepping on the back of your heel to keep it planted on the mat. And then you can turn your feet to 45 degrees in both directions and do the exact same thing. Now we can start walking our feet forward so they're below our hips, keep a slight bend in the knee, and drop our chest over our quads to feel a nice stretch in our hamstrings and lower back. Now you can go ahead and straighten one leg and you'll feel a stretch in the outside of your glute of the leg that's straight, and then you can switch sides when you're ready. Now we can go ahead and straighten both legs to feel a stretch in the hamstrings again. And when you're ready to move on, you can go ahead and cross one leg over the other to feel a stretch in the outside of your hip. Make sure you switch sides as well. Now we can go ahead and walk our feet so that they're out wide, very far past shoulder width apart for a standing straddle, and we can go ahead and drop our chest towards the mat. You should be feeling this in your adductors and your hamstrings, and then you can go ahead and walk your hands towards one side and then the other side for an even deeper stretch in both muscle groups. Now let's come back to center, walk our feet out a little wider, and try to touch our forearms to the mat for an even deeper adductor and hamstring stretch. Now we can squat down to one side, keeping both feet flat on the mat and toes pointing forward, and then we can go ahead and turn our toes up to the ceiling to feel it in our adductors. Now we can go ahead and move to a seated position with our hands out behind us and cross one foot over the opposite knee, flaring that knee out in order to feel a stretch in our glutes. Now we can straighten our leg, plant the foot next to the opposite hip, and pull our knee to our chest to feel a stretch in our glute. Now you can post the hand of the knee that's up out behind you, bring your elbow in front of the knee, and then push against the mat to twist and feel a stretch in your back. Repeat this sequence on the other side. Now you can find something to lean against, like a wall or a piece of furniture. Put your feet in a butterfly position and press down on your knees with your hands and then your elbows to feel a stretch in your adductors and your hips. Now you can go ahead and lay on your back, bringing your knees to your chest, dorsiflexing your feet, and pulling your knees as close to your shoulders as you can while keeping your back completely flat on the mat. Go ahead and extend one leg straight out to feel a stretch in the front of your hip, and then switch sides when you're ready. Now with both feet on the mat, post your hands on your thighs and think about pushing them down and away from you to feel a stretch in the front of your hips. Now do the same thing with one foot crossed over the opposite knee. Now cross one knee over the other and turn both your knees towards the floor with your other arm extended out and behind you. You should feel a stretch in your outer hip and your lower back here. Now we can cross one foot over the opposite knee again, lock our fingers behind our hamstring, pull our knee to our chest, and then use our elbow to flare our opposite knee open to feel a stretch in the outside of our hip. And then from there, you can go ahead and cross one knee over the other and pull both knees to your chest to feel a deeper stretch in the outside of your hip. Go ahead and repeat this sequence on the other side. Now let's come up to a seated position, spread our legs out wide, toes facing the ceiling, hands inside our knees, and lean forward to feel a stretch in our adductors. You can even put your elbows on the mat if that is a better stretch for you. Now we can hit a side bend by placing our elbow on or next to our knee and reaching towards our toes to stretch the side of our body, and then we can go ahead and turn our chest towards our thigh to feel a stretch in our hamstring and lower back. Let's come back to center now, and you should be able to get a deeper stretch than before now that we've gone and isolated both sides. Now let's go ahead and get on our elbows and knees and then spread our knees as far apart as we can for an adductor stretch. Now we're going to go ahead and stretch our hip flexors. So what you're going to do is prop one knee up and extend the arm of the leg that the knee is down above your head and squeeze that same side glute to feel a stretch in the front of your hip. You can even start tilting towards the side of the leg that's up to feel an even deeper stretch in your hip and the side of your body. Now let's go ahead and put our hands on the mat and scoot our back knee backwards so that we can feel a stretch in the back of our front leg and the front of our back leg. You can go down on your forearms to feel a deeper stretch as well. Now let's come back up to the half kneeling position and pull the toes of our back leg to our butt to feel a stretch in the quad. Now we're going to angle both of our knees at 90 degrees, flatten our back, and drive our belly button and our chest down towards our knee to feel a stretch in the outside of our hip. You can angle your chest out at 45 degrees to feel the stretch in your hip at a different angle as well. Now let's go ahead and lay down on our stomach, propping ourselves up on our forearms to feel a stretch in our lower back and making sure we're keeping our ears away from our shoulders throughout the entire stretch. And then when that feels too easy, you can go ahead and prop yourself up on your hands for an even deeper stretch. And then to stretch the side of your body, you can go ahead and bring one knee up towards your hands and look over your shoulder and then perform the same thing on the other side. Now we can go ahead and hit a child's pose to stretch out our lats. Then we can go ahead and prop our elbows up on a bench, drop our head between our arms and feel a stretch in our thoracic spine. And then we can go ahead and push our lower back up to the ceiling to feel the stretch in our lats again. Another lat and side body stretch, go back to child's pose and bring both your hands to one side and then the other. Now we can go ahead, prop up on our hands and knees and reach one arm underneath our body to the other side to feel a stretch in our upper back. Now we can sit up and reach one arm across our body using our other arm to pull it tight to our chest to feel a stretch in our shoulders. Now we can go ahead and reach one arm over our head, reaching to the same side shoulder, and use our other arm to push our elbow backwards and feel a stretch in our triceps. Now we can go ahead and lay down on our stomach, extend one arm out to 45 degrees, and reach our opposite side leg back behind us, trying to plant it down towards the floor to feel a stretch in our pecs and the front of our shoulder, and also our lower back. Now we can go and find a wall to prop our arm up against to feel a stretch in our pec, and then we can straighten our arm out to feel a stretch in our bicep. Turn your thumb against the wall for an even deeper bicep stretch. Now we can go back down to our knees, interlock our fingers behind our back, and extend both of our arms above our head as we bring our head to the mat to feel a stretch in the front of our shoulders and our chest. Now we can go ahead and place our palm on the mat, fingers facing towards us, and straighten our arm to feel a stretch in our forearms. And then we can go ahead and flip our hand over, same thing, fingers facing towards us, straightening our arm to feel a stretch on the top side of our forearm. Now we're going to go ahead and stretch our neck by pulling our chin to our chest and then angling out at 45 degrees to one side, then bringing our ear to our shoulder to stretch the side of our neck, and then looking up towards the ceiling to stretch the front side of our neck. And then we're going to repeat that sequence on the other side. And there you have it. That is my full body static stretching cool down that I do after every single training session. I hope that this helps you. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.